Hello, my name is Randy Silva, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the June 5th issue of the Rochester Business Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Fee Brothers believes fat wash in a bottle will shake cocktail industry by Kevin Oklub-Zija. Fee Brothers Inc., a staple on the Rochester business landscape since 1864, believes its latest product line will revolutionize the cocktail industry worldwide. The fifth-generation, family-owned manufacturer of beverage flavor enhancers today is introducing 3 lines of Fee Brothers fat washes. By packing the taste sensation of savory into a bottle, Fee Brothers has eliminated the need for arduous, day-long fat washing process and instead allows bartenders and mixologists to quickly add extra richness and depth to a cocktail. "It's definitely going to be something that changes the game," said Brandon Pinkins, who owns the Cocktail Lab on Liberty Pole Way in downtown Rochester, as well as his own mobile bartending business. The 3 water-soluble, shelf-stable, fat wash flavors, bacon, butter, and roasted duck, are being manufactured at Fee Brothers' Portland Avenue facility and are being distributed across the U.S. as well as internationally. There are 5 things that you can taste: sweet, sour, salty, savory, and bitter, said John Spatcher, president and CEO of Fee Brothers, explained. 4 of those things are very easy to incorporate into your cocktail, but savory is difficult to do. Fat washing provides the savory, yielding exceptional taste results for cocktail connoisseurs. But it's a complicated process, and not every bar or lounge has the time or know-how to fat wash a bottle of bourbon or vodka one at a time. What we've been able to do is create a water-soluble, shelf-stable fat wash in a bottle, Spatcher said. In 3 to 5 dashes, you can experience the exact same flavor and mouthfeel that fat washing does. We're very excited about this, because this is the remaining 20% of taste sensations that has been difficult to achieve, and nobody else in the world has this product. Before the bottle version of Fat Wash came along, if a customer wanted a roasted duck fat-washed bourbon, old-fashioned, the process for the bar to create that one drink would have started at least 24 hours earlier. The mixologist has a duck on a rotisserie, and he collects the drippings from that, Spatcher said. He stirs it into his bottle of bourbon, waits for all the oil to come up to the top, puts it in his freezer, lets that freeze overnight, and then takes the frozen oil cap off. Then he takes multiple layers of cheesecloth and strains the bourbon through that to get rid of the last little bits of oil or crumbs, and then puts it back in the bottle. After all of that, the fat-washed bourbon can be poured into a drink. Or, now that same mixologist can just shake a dash or 8 of Fee Brothers roasted duck fat wash into the cocktail. You just dash it like some hot sauce, Pinkins said. It's a revolutionary advancement in an industry that always demands different. There's a lot of bars that are constantly changing their cocktail menus, Pinkins said. It'll be interesting to see who uses these fat washes best, who can make the dopest cocktails with this fat wash. The variations could be endless, because now it's easy to incorporate the elusive savory sensation into an alcohol-infused concoction. Fat washing is something that is being done to elevate a cocktail menu, Spatcher said. If you think back to 1984, drinking your piña colada, it was a very one-dimensional drink. Delicious, but one-dimensional, just sweet. You think about it in old-fashioned, it's more two-dimensional. You've got the simple syrup, which is sweet, and the bitters. What mixologists continue to try to do is how to pair multiple layers of these 5 things to create the best tasting experience. Most of where savory comes from in the mixology world comes from fat washing your spirits. Business has been very strong for Fee Brothers. Over the past 6 years, revenue has tripled, and employee base has gone from 12 to 50 to maintain the current product lines: bitters, brines, flavored syrups, and Fee foam. The internal movement to add a fat wash began in early 2025. One of our flavor companies came to us and said they have a new technology, and, through their technology, they could turn this into a water-soluble ingredient while maintaining the original flavor, Spatcher said. His immediate reaction: "You don't know what this means to our industry." At this point, it really took on a great amount of steam. Over the past year, we've taken multiple iterations of this product to Rochester mixologists and asked for their thoughts, and we perfected it. Now we're proud to actually have a viable product to bring to the world. An added benefit: even if a bar enjoys fat washing its own spirits the old-fashioned way, they need to be in compliance with rules set by the New York State Liquor Authority. New York requires that the label on a liquor bottle behind the bar include all ingredients, and you can't hand-write strained duck fat onto the bottle. So if you fat wash a spirit and then put it back in the bottle or put it in a different container, that no longer is acceptable, Spatcher said. This product also addresses that concern as well. Fat washing doesn't necessarily work with every drink. If you're watching the Kentucky Derby, don't try it with a mint julep, Spatcher advised, but it will pair nicely with many cocktails. The spirit of choice is just that. It's the spirit, Spatcher said. You add other things to that spirit to make it a multi-dimensional cocktail. Otherwise, you're just having a shot. But when you're making a cocktail, you're asking, what am I adding to this? Is it a fruit juice? Is it bitters? Is it a saline solution? The things you're adding to the spirit that make it a cocktail. Don't expect to see Fee Brothers marketing the fat wash while you're watching an NFL game this fall or your favorite drama on TV or a streaming service. We're in the business of selling bicycles to bicyclists. We are not in the business of creating new bicyclists, Spatcher said. There are tons of people in the world that have never heard of fat washing, but there are plenty of mixologists and cocktail enthusiasts who have. The exciting part is, they'll spread the good word of Fee Brothers to the masses on our behalf just out of pure enthusiasm. Today's launch date of June 1st was chosen in order to coincide with Rochester Cocktail Revival, which kicked off May 31st and runs through June 7th. A national Fee Brothers Fat Wash tour is scheduled for July and August. Nobody in the world has this, so we're very excited to continue innovating and creating non-commoditized products that the cocktail industry is very excited about, Spatcher said. My grandfather used to have a saying, don't squeeze, use fees. Instead of buying all these fruits, you can just use our flavorings. The idea still stands today. Instead of doing all the work, we can get you a high-quality product that does just as well. Higher Ed Veteran to Lead SUNY Brockport by Andrea Decker. The State University of New York Board of Trustees has appointed Dr. Dawn Meza-Souflaris as the 8th president of SUNY Brockport. She is a veteran higher education leader with deep ties to the SUNY system and a career-long focus on student success, enrollment growth, and institutional advancement. Meza-Souflaris, who currently serves as Vice President for the Student Development and Campus Life at Montclair State University, will assume the role on July 20th. She succeeds President Heidi McPherson, who has led the university since 2015. She is taking the helm at a time when colleges and universities nationwide continue to navigate enrollment challenges, workforce development demands, and evolving student needs. A 3-time SUNY graduate, Meza-Souflaris earned a bachelor's degree in history and a master's degree in teaching from SUNY Binghamton, as well as a doctorate in sociology from the University at Buffalo. As a first-generation college student, she has built her career around expanding access to higher education and improving student outcomes. SUNY Chancellor John B. King, Jr. said Meza-Souflaris' demonstrated commitment to student achievement and campus engagement will help strengthen Brockport's position as a driver of opportunity and upward mobility. I am proud to welcome Dr. Dawn Meza-Souflaris as SUNY Brockport's next president, King said. Her dedication to student success will further solidify SUNY Brockport's position as an essential institution of higher education and upward mobility. At Montclair State University, Meza-Souflaris oversees a broad portfolio of student-centered services across the institution's Montclair and Bloomfield campuses. The division encompasses programs and departments focused on student engagement, development, and campus life, while supporting the university's broader goals related to retention and student achievement. She also serves as an adjunct faculty member in the university's higher education master's program. Her experience extends beyond student affairs. Prior to joining Montclair State, she served as Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management at La Salle University, where she led a comprehensive reorganization of enrollment operations and helped implement strategies that increase graduate, adult, and transfer student enrollment. Under her leadership, the university also achieved gains in first-year student retention through the use of predictive analytics and success coaching initiatives. Meza-Souflaris also brings a significant Rochester connection to the position. She spent 25 years at Rochester Institute of Technology, serving in a series of increasingly senior leadership roles spanning residential life, student development, and student affairs. Her appointment was praised by Scott Turner, chair of SUNY Brockport University Council and Presidential Search Committee, who cited her extensive leadership experience, classroom engagement, and first-hand understanding of the SUNY experience. In accepting the appointment, Meza-Souflaris said she is eager to build on the university's momentum and continue creating opportunities for student success. I have a deeply personal commitment to ensuring that all students have the support they need to thrive, which is why I'm beyond excited and grateful to be appointed as the 8th president of SUNY Brockport, she said. I'm excited to return to the Rochester area and the greater SUNY Brockport community and look forward to hitting the ground running. Rochester designer Raquel Lowry is making a statement, one handbag at a time, by Velvet Spicer for Lulu Public Relations. At her kitchen table on one Saturday night in 2018, Raquel Lowry thought she was starting a side project. By sunrise the next morning, she had launched a business. Lowry, founder and creative force behind Raquel Denise Handbags, laughs when she tells the story now. At the time, she was finishing a master's degree in management and leadership at Rochester Institute of Technology and looking for something creative to fill the gap after graduation. I love planners and agendas, Lowry said, so I started designing some planners and agendas. Her older sister, a longtime business owner herself, immediately challenged the idea. She said, "Where are these customers coming from? How are you going to sell these?" Lowry recalled. She started asking me all these questions, and I was just like, oh my goodness, just enjoy this moment with me. Then came the suggestion that changed everything. She said, "You love handbags. Why don't you start with some totes?" The advice clicked instantly. Lowry connected with a wholesaler through her sister and moved quickly. It was 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and by 7 a.m. the next day, on Sunday, my business was birthed, she said. And I fell in love, and I never looked back. Today, Lowry's Rochester-based business ships handbags, tights, luggage, and accessories across the United States and internationally, including to Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. Her signature "I Am the Bag" collection has become the centerpiece of the brand, blending bold messaging with practical design. The slogan itself grew out of a difficult period during the pandemic in 2021, when Lowry began designing her own original bags after years of sourcing boutique items from other manufacturers. I remember all of these things were happening, she said. I started looking for another job, and it became like a mantra to me, like, I am the bag, like, I can do all of these things. For Lowry, the bags are meant to work for real life, not just sit on a shelf looking pretty. Before releasing a design, she carries sample versions herself, testing straps, compartments, and materials. What does it look like for somebody to carry a bag every day, she said. What color does it need to be? How many compartments does it need? How many straps does it need? That attention to function and detail reflects the broad range of customers she serves. Some are entrepreneurs and working professionals. Others are moms juggling busy schedules. Then there are the playful statement pieces, including popcorn-themed bags, designed for concerts, festivals, or nights out. Asked which television character would carry one of her bags, Lowry answered without hesitation, Olivia Pope from the TV drama Scandal. Still, building the business has required far more than creativity. Lowry works a full-time job while running the company, and in the early years handled nearly every role herself: designer, photographer, model, accountant, and marketer. You're the owner, you're the designer, you're the model, you're the photographer, you're the accountant, she said, taking on all of those jobs that can really become draining. She said one of the hardest parts of growth is learning to trust others with a brand she built from scratch. I want to protect my brand, she explained. Lowry also spoke candidly about the challenges of being a black woman entrepreneur navigating spaces where people sometimes underestimated her. One of the things I say is, I'm actually the Raquel Denise of Raquel Denise Handbags, she said. When I'm saying something, it's not a suggestion or a recommendation. This is what is true. She described moments when others tried to dictate how she or her products should appear publicly, particularly in magazine features and collaborations. This is my brand, she said. There has to be some collaboration with that. Lowry is certified as a Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise, or MWBE, a designation she said helps create opportunities and connections. But she also said being a small business owner sometimes means pushing back against expectations that exposure should come before compensation. I sometimes have to say, no, that's the price, and have to be okay with walking away from some business, she acknowledged. Despite the challenges, Lowry said the most rewarding moments have been seeing the business gain recognition and watching her original designs resonate with customers. 2 milestones stand out: launching the I Am the Bag collection on her birthday in April 2022 and securing her trademark. Those accomplishments came after years of what she calls equity hours, the unpaid work that goes into building something from the ground up. No equity hour is in vain, Lowry said. Every connection, every email, every Google search is worth it. Much of her drive, she said, comes from the women in her family. Lowry credits her mother and older sister as her biggest influences and strongest supporters. They already think I'm amazing, she said with a laugh, but they always tell me that it's okay to keep pushing and achieving more. That support system helps shape the approach she now gives to aspiring entrepreneurs. Be patient with yourself, Lowry said. The process is definitely a metamorphosis. Velvet Spicer is an account executive for Lulu Public Relations. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Rochester Business Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Experts highlight tax and regulatory changes by Bennett Loudon. In a virtual panel discussion presented Thursday by the Rochester Business Journal, a trio of experts explained tax and regulatory changes likely to affect businesses. In the event, sponsored by MMB & Co., a Fairport-based accounting firm, featured MMB & Co. partner and CPA Anthony Cinto, Steve Mills, a CPA and partner emeritus at Insero Advisors LLC, and Christina Stamentis, a partner and CPA at MMB & Co. Cinto talked about how research and experimentation, R&D, expenditure deductions are handled. Prior to the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBBBA, and the preceding Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, research and experimentation expenditures were always simply deductible in the year that they were incurred or accrued. That changed with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act starting in 2022, and those experimentation expenditures were required to be capitalized and amortized over either 5 years if domestic or 15 years if foreign, Cinto said. For a lot of taxpayers, especially those with significant R&E, this was pretty impactful, he said. For many clients in certain industries, some of the tax bills that resulted, especially in 2022, the first year of implementation of this new rule was pretty significant, he said. So much so that in some cases, taxpayers needed to fund payment of the tax bill with new debt, he said. That law was in effect from 2022 through 2024, but the OBBBA provided relief, he said. The new law means a return to immediate expensing of R&D. Small business taxpayers, those with an average of $31 million in gross receipts over the last 3 years, have the option of going back to 2022 through 2024 to amend tax returns to claim full deductions and potentially get refunds in those years. All other taxpayers are now able to deduct those amortized costs that remain in either 2025 or evenly across 2025 and 2026. The small business taxpayers have until July 6th to make a decision on whether to amend past returns. Cinto also talked about changes at the Internal Revenue Service. They are faced with more and more budgetary cuts. These budgetary cuts are limiting their ability to hire and retain agents and personnel, and because of that, we're seeing a significant decline in customer service within the IRS, Cinto said. I can tell you from my own experience as a tax professional working for my clients, getting through to the IRS to help handle client matters is very difficult, he said. We even have dedicated practitioner lines, and I found it personally difficult to get through to the IRS on those lines, which prior to this year hasn't really been the case, Cinto said. The IRS is using technology to help solve that problem, he said. The IRS is using data-driven, AI-targeted approach to enforcement, triggering automated notices which are becoming more difficult to resolve. The IRS focus is now on high-net-worth individuals, partnerships, and pass-through structures, and various topics related to that, plus credits and incentives, Cinto said. So it's really important, and becoming even more important for taxpayers and tax practitioners, to really look at all their sources of data, bring them together, and kind of connect the dots and make sure that your informational reporting matches up with your income tax reporting, Cinto said. I certainly echo Anthony's comments about the difficulties of dealing with the IRS these days, Mills said. It's very difficult to try and get someone on the phone. Then it's very difficult to get them to answer your issue or understand your issue. And then it's difficult to get them to solve it, Mills said. However, I think we do have to give the IRS credit where credit is due. There's been some pretty good activity over the last 6 months, issuing some guidance on some of these things from OB3, because of many of the concepts in the legislation were brand new, Mills said. Stamatis explains the history of how the IRS has treated cryptocurrency. Early on, the IRS didn't have infrastructure or data. Everything relied on taxpayers reporting crypto gains and transactions voluntarily, she said. Although there was some Bitcoin trading starting in 2009, the IRS paid very little attention to it until 2014. At that time, the government issued a notice saying cryptocurrency would be treated as property, not currency, and taxpayers were left to self-report. In 2016, widespread underreporting was recognized, so the IRS went directly to Coinbase, the trading platform, to obtain data through the use of John Doe summons, which allowed the IRS to ask for information on a group of unidentified individuals. After Coinbase resisted, the IRS narrowed the scope, but still got transactions on about 14,000 users, which they used to identify non-compliance patterns. In 2019, the IRS issued a crypto letter campaign of targeted enforcement. The most serious version of the letter suggested non-compliance and required a response. The other two types of letters were more educational. They didn't require a response, but amounted to a warning or a reminder to report crypto transactions. We saw a lot of activity after that letter campaign came out, mostly by amending returns or voluntary disclosures, DeMattis said. Starting in 2020, Form 1040 has included the question, at any time during the year, did you receive, sell, send, or exchange a digital asset? So, what this did was create a perjury-level declaration. It increased voluntary compliance and also served as an audit data trigger point, DeMattis says. Now there's also a full third-party reporting with the Form 1099-DA, digital asset proceeds from broker transactions. So we've gone from an honor system of voluntary reporting to full transparency in about 10 years. And this is really the turning point, she said. Until now, the IRS has had to piece things together with letters and analytics, but with the 1099-DA, they're going to get standardized reporting directly from exchanges, just like they do with stock trades, she said. The International Organization for Economic Cooperation, OECD, has created the Crypto Asset Reporting Framework, CARF, that allows countries to automatically share crypto transaction data across borders, which eliminates the ability to avoid reporting by using offshore exchanges. This starts to roll out in 2026, with the first global data exchanges expected around 2027. In addition, the European Union created the DAC-8, which is similar to CARF. The most common audit risks related to crypto are misclassifying crypto income as capital gain versus ordinary income, she said. Selling crypto for cash is just like selling your Apple stock. That's capital gains treatment. But then there's other crypto transactions such as mining and staking that are ordinary income, DeMattis says. Another audit risk is not reporting crypto-to-crypto trades. That's still a taxable transaction. So if you sell Ethereum and buy Bitcoin, you've got a taxable transaction there that needs to be reported, DeMattis says. Mills discussed effective dates of federal legislation. To listen to a tax professional say effective dates are important is kind of redundant, it seems to me, but I think it's a very important message that there are so many different dates, Mills said. I've been doing this a long time, and effective dates have always been around, but it seems like in the last 10 or 15 years, they've become more prevalent with sunsets and budget reconciliation bills require certain requirements for the legislation to be passed, Mills said. There are just all kinds of dates that showed up with the legislation itself, as well as in the guidance that has come out since then, he said. The IRS has recently issued new guidance on several tax topics which will be shared with clients, Mills said. It's part of what we do as advisors. We keep our eyes on this stuff so that we can push this information out as best we can to everybody, so that we can make informed decisions, and taxpayers and our clients can make informed decisions about their tax positions, Mills said. How John Shu Schumann Built Lattimore into a Regional PT Leader by Andrew Deckert. The legacy of John Shu Schumann continues to shape Lattimore Physical Therapy and Sports Rehabilitation Network, not only through the growth of one of Rochester Region's largest physical therapy organizations, but through the culture of compassion and patient-centered care he built over more than 3 decades. Schumann, co-founder of the practice and a longtime leader in the Rochester healthcare community, died April 8th at age 62 following a battle with cancer. What began as a single clinic on Lattimore Road that he opened with his wife Cindy Schumann in 1992 has grown into a network of more than 35 locations serving Monroe, Livingston, Ontario, Yates, and Wayne counties. Today, Lattimore ranks second on the most recent Rochester Business Journal list of the region's largest physical therapy and sports rehabilitation practices, employing nearly 300 people, including 184 licensed professionals. Earlier this year, John and Cindy Schumann sold their shares in the company. The organization is now led by 10 co-owners, including the couple's son, Charlie Schumann, who said his father's impact extended well beyond business growth. Beyond the growth of Lattimore, my father's legacy is defined by the culture he created, one centered on care, relationships, and a genuine commitment to helping people return to the lives they love, Charlie Schumann said. He built not just clinics, but a network of individuals who continue to carry forward his values every day. As both his son and a fellow physical therapist, Charlie Schumann said he witnessed firsthand the effects his father had on patients, colleagues, and the broader healthcare community. While physical therapy is often something patients approach with hesitation, he said his father helped create an environment that felt more positive and approachable. I truly believe his story, his vision, his leadership, and the lasting imprint he leaves on the Rochester healthcare community is one worth telling, he said. Charlie Schumann added that the company's long-term success reflected his father's business instincts, developed without formal business training. Central to the company's philosophy was individualized care. Therapists routinely conduct evaluations lasting 45 minutes to an hour to better understand each patient's needs and goals. Cindy Schumann, who met her husband while the two attended the University at Buffalo, said the organization's guiding philosophy, known internally as the Lattimore Way, emphasizes top-quality care delivered in a positive environment. The company also prioritized community involvement, including through an annual golf tournament that raises funds to support people in need. We were able to reach beyond physical therapy and let the community know we cared about them, said Cindy Schumann, who remains involved with the company in a mentorship role. That's what John wanted. Their daughter, Hope Schumann, said her parents' complementary leadership styles played a key role in the company's growth. They worked as a team, she said. Tim Ann, Lattimore CEO, joined the organization in 2001 and described John Schumann as a tough but supportive leader who pushed people to grow while creating opportunities for them to succeed. Ann recalled Schumann as a respectful, motivating, and consistently available for guidance, even taking early morning calls before daybreak. He said the organization plans to continue expanding in a measured way, with 2 new regional clinics expected in the near future. Education also remains a priority, including through the company's orthopedic physical therapy residency program. Ann said Schumann's influence continues to drive the organization forward. His efforts continue to inspire me to work harder, he said. Building materials firm has $18.7 million plans for condemned Brooks Avenue hotel property by Kevin Oklabzija. A Syracuse-based distributor of exterior building materials intends to expand into Rochester by demolishing the long-vacant hotel at Brooks Avenue and Interstate 390 and constructing a new warehouse and showroom. Erie Materials, a family-owned company founded in 1973, is seeking $1.7 million in tax incentives from the County of Monroe Industrial Development Agency to assist with a property purchase, asbestos abatement, and demolition of the existing 180-room hotel. The $18.7 million project would revive the condemned 10.8-acre parcel at 911 Brooks Avenue, which was built as a Holiday Inn in 1975 and has been shuttered and fenced off since a lender foreclosed on the property in 2020. Access Point Financial said the hotel operator, FM Butts Hotel Corp., owned nearly $7.8 million. The lender submitted the only bid at a foreclosure auction in January of 2020. At least one redevelopment plan was proposed to the town of Gates for a hotel, restaurant, and more on the site in 2023, but it eventually was scrapped. Costs of remediation and demolition in the neighborhood of $6 to $7 million are a big reason why others haven't moved on the property, according to the funding application submitted to Comida by Stephen Shabbat, Erie Materials Vice President. This location has been vacant due to these risks and upfront cash outlay, which other developers have been unwilling to undertake, the application says. Erie Materials is asking for a $768,000 sales tax exemption, a $97,500 mortgage recording tax exemption, and a 10-year pilot payment in lieu of taxes worth $842,764. A public hearing is set for 11 a.m. on June 11th at Gates Town Hall. The Comida Board will vote on the proposal at the June 16th meeting. The Gates Planning Board has given final approval on project plans, and the town will apply the previously awarded $2 million Restore New York Communities Initiative grant for the property to offset project costs, according to the Comida application. If the incentives are approved by Comida, Erie Materials will build a 49,000 square foot warehouse and 13,000 square foot facility for showroom and office. The company distributes residential and commercial roofing supplies, windows, doors, siding, decking, and seamless gutters. Along with its home base of Syracuse, Erie Materials has locations in Albany, Auburn, Binghamton, Elmira, Poughkeepsie, Utica, and Watertown, plus 2 in Pennsylvania, in Scranton and Williamsport. The company has more than 400 employees. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Rochester Business Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Feeling burnt out? Rochester's nonprofits address workplace mental health challenges by Corey Putnam. From caring for children and aging parents to managing financial pressures and rising workplace demands, many workers today are navigating stressors that extend well beyond the office. Here, Rochester area nonprofit leaders discuss how these pressures are affecting employee mental health and what employers can do to foster more supportive workplace cultures. DePaul's National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Rochester area. Jennifer Farringer, director of DePaul's National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Rochester area, NCADDRA, says one of the strongest predictors of employee well-being is whether workers feel connected and supported within their workplace culture. The employee feeling a sense of connection and belonging, or having coworkers and supervisors who communicate well and support each other, is huge, Farringer said. Through a federally funded workplace wellness initiative, NCADDRA spent the last several years researching the impact of stress, burnout, mental health, and substance use challenges within workplaces across the region. The organization interviewed community leaders, conducted focus groups, and surveyed employers throughout multiple counties. Among the findings, 62% of employers reported stress and burnout as major workplace concerns, while roughly half identified mental health and substance use challenges as significant factors affecting employee well-being and productivity. Sleep issues and fatigue also emerged as common concerns. Farringer says many employers estimated they were spending a substantial portion of their time responding to workplace issues connected to stress, burnout, mental health, and addiction. At the same time, Farringer has seen a growing willingness among employers to approach these issues from a more supportive rather than punitive perspective. We used to get calls that sounded like, "I'm concerned my employees are using. What policies can I put into place?" Farringer said. Now we try to reframe that conversation toward early intervention, support, and awareness of resources. NCADDRA currently offers an extensive menu of free workplace wellness workshops and trainings through its Team Awareness for Workplace Wellness initiative, which focuses on team building, stress management, resilience, healthy coping strategies, and workplace culture. Follow this link, ncddra.org/services/Team Awareness Workplace Wellness. We don't want it to be one and done, Farringer said. We want people to take these tools back to their families, their workplace culture, and their community. For employers unsure where to begin, Farringer encourages them to simply start the conversation and connect with local organizations that can help. What employees often say after these trainings is, "I feel honored that my employer cared enough about us to give us this time," she said. That alone can make a real difference. NAMI Rochester. June White, the Director of Operations for NAMI Rochester, says stress, anxiety, burnout, depression, and isolation continue to be some of the biggest mental health challenges affecting today's workforce, many of them intensified by financial strain and outside pressures. We're definitely seeing stress, anxiety, burnout, some depression, and potentially isolation, depending on the working arrangements, said White, who noted that the scaling back of employees at some companies has been a contributing factor. White also believes stigma surrounding mental health still prevents some employees from seeking help or speaking openly about their struggles. At the same time, she's seeing employers becoming increasingly aware of the connection between mental health, productivity, absenteeism, and overall employee well-being. As a result, NAMI Rochester has seen a growing interest from businesses seeking presentations, mental health awareness training, and leadership guidance on how to better support employees. I think they're really recognizing that well-being, including mental health, is just as vital as physical well-being, White said. White encourages employers to normalize conversations surrounding mental health through initiatives such as employee resource groups, workplace speakers, and educational webinars. NAMI Rochester offers several free, peer-led workplace programs, including End the Stigma and You Can Ask Anything, both designed to encourage open conversation and improve understanding surrounding mental health. The organization also offers support groups and referrals to additional community resources when needed. Link here, namiroc.org/support and education/presentations. For employers unsure where to begin, White recommends forming a cross-functional, multi-generational team to identify stressors, gaps, and employee needs within the organization before partnering with local nonprofits for additional support and training. It used to be, leave work at work and home at home, but you bring everything with you to work because you can't help it, White said. That mindset shift is vital. Compere Rochester. Considering the timing of significant world events that have taken place over the last decade, we have young people entering the workforce who are impacted by the isolation of COVID during their school years, said Sarah Passamonte, CEO of Compere Rochester. And we have aging workers who are experiencing the need to continue working to support themselves financially while they care for children, parents, siblings, and others. Passamonte also points to chronic stress and heartache related to global tensions, economic strain, and uncertainty about the future as contributors to the number of people experiencing challenges at home, in the workplace, and other day-to-day settings. Simultaneously, she is seeing greater interest among employers in learning about mental health and getting involved with programs that help build community, including volunteerism. Compere focuses on the art of science of helping, she said. The act of volunteerism has both a ripple and boomerang effect, benefiting the helper as much as the person they set out to help. A 2025 study published in the peer-reviewed academic journal Frontiers of Public Health found that volunteering is associated with reduced depressive symptoms, a greater sense of purpose, improved coping abilities, and stronger social connections. Passamonte says Compere helps employers see the value in offering volunteer opportunities to their staff and provides a training curriculum covering the basics of mental health, relationship building and boundaries, self-care, and cultural responsibility for those who become volunteers. We're on a big mission this year to try and get in front of employers, Passamonte said. We want people to contact us. We want people to think of Compere when they're talking about wellness initiatives for their staff. Passamonte also highly recommends that employers and employees attend a mental health first aid training session. The Monroe County Office of Mental Health offers in-person training throughout the year, teaching attendees how to identify, understand, and respond to signs of mental health and substance use challenges. More information can be found by following this link, monroecounty.gov/MH-training. AFSP, Western New York. There is no single cause for suicide, said Samantha Standing, Western New York's Area Director for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP. Often, stressors and health issues come together to create feelings of hopelessness and despair. Standing says workplace environment factors including customer interactions, productivity expectations, scheduling demands, and pace of work continue to impact the mental well-being of working-age adults across the country. And, because of many adults spend a significant portion of their lives at work, employers are uniquely positioned to support mental health and suicide prevention efforts. Workplaces are crucial communities to reach people with life-saving resources, Standing said. According to AFSP, an estimated 10% of workers experience depression, substance use disorders, or other psychological conditions that can significantly affect daily functioning and productivity. Lost productivity tied to mental health conditions cost the U.S. more than $100 billion annually, yet only 1 in 5 people with a mental health condition receives the care they need. Embedding mental health promotion into organizational policies and procedures is an impactful way for employers to send a message of care and concern for the health of their employees, Standing said. Among the practical strategies she recommends are creating workplace wellness committees, promoting mental health as part of a broader wellness campaigns, offering flexible accommodations for therapy or mental health appointments, and providing educational opportunities for both employees and leadership. Rochester has so many great resources, including AFSP of WNY's Talk Saves Lives program, and employees need to know that they are never alone, Standing said. AFSP's Talk Saves Lives presentation can be offered virtually or in person and provides an education on suicide prevention, warning signs, risk factors, and available resources. The organization also offers versions tailored specifically to the LGBTQ+ community and the construction industry, both of which face disproportionately high rates of suicide risk. The AFSP link is afsp.org/talksaveslives. Standing says awareness surrounding mental health and suicide prevention has improved in recent years. A 2024 Harris poll conducted for AFSP found that 92% of respondents believe employers have a role to play in supporting mental health and suicide prevention. Still, she says the stigma and fear continue to prevent many people from reaching out for help. Many people are reluctant to seek help through services offered by their employers, Standing said. They may worry about confidentiality, fear that admitting their own need for help will jeopardize their employment, or believe that their problems will resolve on their own. Mental Health Association of Rochester and Monroe County. One of the biggest challenges I see that many people are carrying a great deal of responsibility, both inside and outside of work, said Kelly Hudak, Director of Development and Communications for the Mental Health Association of Rochester and Monroe County. Employees are often balancing demanding jobs while also managing financial pressures, caring for children or aging family members, navigating personal challenges, and trying to maintain their own well-being. Hudak says conversations about stress, burnout, and difficulty maintaining healthy boundaries between work and personal life have become increasingly common. While awareness surrounding mental health has grown significantly in recent years, she believes stigma still prevents many employees from reaching out for support. Mental health challenges don't stop when someone walks into work each morning, Hudak said. People bring their full lives with them, which is why creating supportive workplace environments is so important. According to Hudak, one of the most meaningful ways employers can support their teams is by creating workplace cultures where mental health is treated as an important part of overall well-being rather than something employees feel pressured to hide. Support can look different across organizations, but it often starts with open communication, empathy, flexibility when possible, and leadership that models healthy boundaries and self-awareness, Hudak said. She also encourages employers to increase awareness of available mental health resources, offer educational opportunities and trainings, and normalize seeking help before employees reach a crisis point. Creating a mentally healthy workplace doesn't require perfection, she added. It requires consistency, empathy, and a willingness to listen. Hudak says the Mental Health Association of Rochester and Monroe County has seen growing interest from employers looking to better understand how mental health impacts workplace culture, employee retention, morale, and overall engagement. We've seen growing interest in trainings, educational presentations, wellness initiatives, and conversations focused on reducing stigma and creating healthier workplace environments, Hudak said. The organization offers a variety of community-based programs, trainings, and educational opportunities focused on mental well-being, suicide prevention, peer support, and stigma reduction. Hudak says the goal is to help organizations create workplace cultures where employees feel supported, connected, and comfortable seeking help when needed. For employers unsure where to begin, Hudak recommends starting with simple, consistent actions that help employees feel psychologically safe and valued. Even small actions, such as checking in with employees, encouraging the use of available resources, promoting work-life balance, or offering educational opportunities, can create a more supportive culture over time, Hudak said. If you or someone you care about is having thoughts of suicide or is in crisis, call or text 988 to reach the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 24/7. Corey Putnam is a Rochester area freelance writer. Small Business Employment Reaches Highest Level of 2026, Paychecks reports, by Andrew Decker. Small business hiring continues to strengthen in May, according to the latest Paychex Small Business Employment Watch. The Paychex Small Business Jobs Index, which tracks employment trends among businesses with fewer than 50 employees, increased 0.18 percentage points in May to 99.34. The gain marks the third consecutive month of improvement and the highest reading recorded so far in 2026. The sustained increase is notable because it represents the first 3-month stretch of accelerating job growth since February of 2023. According to Paychex, the trend reflects broad-based strengths across industries and regions as employers continue to add workers heading into the summer months. The small business job growth rate has increased 3 consecutive months, reinforcing the durability and underlying strength of the labor market on Main Street, said John Gibson, Paychex president and CEO. He noted that most states and metropolitan areas included in the index reported gains in May, mirroring hiring trends amongst larger employees as well. Compensation measures also remained positive. Hourly earnings growth held steady at 2.73%, while weekly earnings growth increased for the 5th consecutive month, reaching 2.98%, its strongest pace since January 2024. Weekly hours worked also rose for a 3rd straight month, marking the first such streak since 2021. Sector performance continued to highlight the strength of the service-oriented industries. Education and health services maintained its leadership position in job growth, a distinction it has held in nearly every month since the start of 2024. Manufacturing, however, emerged as the strongest performing sector overall, recording the largest gains across 1, 3, and 12-month measurements. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Rochester Business Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Caring for the whole person: Why mental health is central to older adult services. A viewpoint by Sarah Culp. When individuals make the transition into older adult living communities, they're not simply changing their address, they're making a significant life change. This milestone oftentimes brings emotional and psychological complexities. During this transition, I frequently see what I refer to as little deaths. These include changes in independence, health, familiar surroundings, or even a sense of identity. Over time, these losses can accumulate, creating an overall sense of ongoing grief. Feelings of loneliness and anxiety are also common, particularly as individuals face uncertainty related to health or daily life and routine. In my role as Director of Spiritual Care, from my perspective, these experiences are often accompanied by deeper questions about meaning, purpose, and belonging. Individuals may wrestle with how they understand their life story or where they find comfort in times of change. These emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions are deeply interconnected and cannot be addressed in isolation. A generational shift in mental health conversations. Many older adults were not raised in a culture that encouraged open discussion of mental health. While younger generations often have a broader language to describe their emotions, older individuals may express distress in more indirect ways. Instead of naming anxiety or depression, someone may say they're, quote, not feeling right, or, quote, feel tired all the time. Others may express spiritual distress through statements that reflect disconnection or loss of hope. These are cues that require thoughtful listening and interpretation. There's also a long-standing stigma surrounding mental health, which can lead to hesitation, denial, or shame. For some, emotional suffering is viewed as a normal part of aging, rather than something that can be supported and addressed. This remains a meaningful barrier to care. Why mental health is everyone's responsibility. In older adult services, mental health support cannot rest solely with clinical specialists. It must be embedded across the entire community. Every single staff member can notice changes in behavior, mood, or routine. Those working most closely in daily life, such as dining or housekeeping staff, are often the first to observe when something feels different. A resident who withdraws from activities, or eats less, or spends more time alone may be signaling a deeper need. Creating a culture where these observations are valued and communicated is essential. It requires open lines of communication and shared understanding that mental health is a collective responsibility. The role of training and culture. Education plays an important role in preparing teams to respond effectively. Training programs such as mental health first aid provide practical tools for recognizing signs of distress, responding with empathy, and connecting individuals to appropriate support. However, training must be paired with a culture that prioritizes presence, compassion, and collaboration. When staff members feel supported, they're more confident in engaging with residents during vulnerable moments. Interdisciplinary collaboration allows teams to better understand the full picture of a resident's experience. By working together, communities can create more responsive and meaningful support systems while reinforcing a sense of belonging. In practice, this often begins with listening. By being present without judgment, allows individuals to feel seen and heard. From there, concerns can be shared with the broader care team to ensure a coordinated response. A path forward. There is a growing recognition across older adult services surrounding the importance of addressing the whole person. Conversations around mental health are becoming more open, and there is an increasing emphasis on collaboration and integrated care. If there is one step organizations can take, it is to invest in a culture of presence. Staff should be trained and encouraged to see, hear, and value each individual. When that foundation is in place, it creates the conditions for meaningful change. Even in the face of loss and transition, older adults demonstrate remarkable resilience. They continue to seek connection, purpose, and meaning. It is our responsibility to ensure that environments we create support them in doing so. Sarah Culp is Director of Spiritual Care at St. John's. How Billie Eilish Helps Explain Zillow's Current Struggles. Rochester Realty Review by Mark Seawick. Admit it, after hearing of the last eye-popping real estate sale in your neighborhood, you've logged into Zillow to find out what your property was worth. 3 days later, you did the same. It didn't matter that the information was often imperfect. Checking on one's Zestimate has become an American pastime. It's the adult equivalent of your teenager's TikTok obsession. Different screen, same rabbit hole. The perceived increase of the value of your home confers status, a sense of security, and perhaps, when gathered with friends at the neighborhood barbecue, bragging rights. Millions of Americans are addicted. That's why the current pressures on our country's favorite real estate app, and the near certain changes in the way that real estate data will be delivered, are so interesting. Back in 1990, if a consumer was interested in purchasing a home, they would often call a local brokerage and ask for a referral. Century 21 and Noth Nagel were among a handful of powerful local middlemen playing the central role. If you were an agent who was particularly well networked, you would secure clients who would call you directly, but the real brand remained the brokerage itself. 6 years later, the central role of the brokerage was challenged when the National Association of Realtors launched Realtor.com, making information that was once private currency of licensed agents available to anyone with a computer and a modem. In 2006, Zillow made its debut, ushering in a whole new category of entertainment and creating further distance between home buyers and agents. The only way for many real estate agents to successfully bridge that moat was to pay the tech giant fees totaling thousands of dollars every month. In exchange, a salesperson would purchase the right to have their name and phone number advertised on their site. Today, artificial intelligence may be ushering in a third chapter of the ongoing story of the public and its relationship with real estate data, this time with several significant changes. The innovator's dilemma suggests that many successful companies lose dominance as a result of disruptive innovations or business practices. Within the past several weeks, 2 large regional multiple listing services have discontinued their data feeds to Zillow, a dispute that will ultimately be resolved in court. Meanwhile, Google is reintroducing individual properties as part of a consumer's search query. At the same time, recently merged brokerages are experimenting with the concept of private/off-market listings played out at massive scale. And chatbots are providing robust, hyper-focused information to buyers and sellers in a manner that would have been incomprehensible to imagine 18 months ago. While all of this disruption is currently focused on Zillow, there are larger issues at play impacting hundreds of industries, audiences, and creators. On the surface, it seems as though Zillow's predominance is weakening. Recent news certainly tells a compelling story. However, 2 fascinating metrics dramatically underscore the size and scope of these underlying shifts. In the past year and a half, Zillow has gone from a market cap 5.5 times larger than Compass, the nation's largest real estate brokerage, to just 1.3 times today. During the same period, Compass's market cap has increased about $3 billion, while Zillow is down around $8 billion. Wall Street may be recognizing something that Main Street America hasn't yet realized. More broadly, the barriers that exist between agents and consumers are being dismantled. For decades, large brands, real estate brokerages, Realtor.com, Zillow, and others acted as an intermediary between consumers and realtors. Supplanting this dynamic are individual agents who are steadily becoming the brand. Artificial intelligence is the tool that enables them to break the gatekeepers' control of marketing, information, and reach. Blogs, podcasts, reels, videos, and sophisticated graphics have democratized the attention itself, enabling talented agents to build trust, credibility, and market share without relying on gatekeepers to amplify their message. Technology hasn't just changed real estate, it's also changed who controls access to audiences. 10 years ago, Billie Eilish was strumming her guitar in her bedroom with her brother Phineas. They released a few recordings on SoundCloud, and today she's an international sensation. Joe Rogan, Justin Bieber, and countless other creators followed a similar path, bypassing traditional gatekeepers and building audiences directly. Real estate is beginning to experience the same shift. Increasingly, agents are no longer borrowing the audience of a brokerage, portal, or media company. Instead, they're building their own. Meanwhile, the way that people discover homes, neighborhoods, and professionals is undergoing profound changes. Until recently, if you had a question, Google would provide you with a homework assignment. Here are 65 websites that might possibly answer your concern. Today, AI provides you the answer. The passive search is being replaced by an active conversation. How much has property increased in a particular zip code during a specific time period? What are the best school districts in a particular geographic region? What agent sells the majority of homes in a particular neighborhood? I've personally benefited from the arrival of this strange new phenomenon. At least once a month, I'm receiving a call from somebody who tells me that they'd like to engage me to sell their house, because ChatGPT told them that I was the best match for their particular needs or circumstances. If AI can evaluate thousands of signals simultaneously and one agent rises to the surface, then visibility, expertise, reputation, and content matter more than ever. For 30 years, technology democratized information. Now AI is democratizing expertise. If that trend continues, home buyers and sellers won't simply have more data at their fingertips, they'll have better answers. And after decades of promises about technology creating a more transparent and informed marketplace, that future may finally be arriving. Mark Seawick is the CEO of Elysian Homes and co-host of the Rochester Living podcast. He can be reached at 585-330-8750. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 5th issue of the Rochester Business Journal. Your reader has been Randy Silva. Thank you for listening.